Hey Saber fans, welcome back to part 5 of Let's Build a Saber. So today we're going to be working on recharge ports. Probably the most common question I get with soldering up a Saber is recharge ports. So these things are great. This is a 12mm recharge port, and here where you plug in your charging cable is a 2.1mm charging plug you would use in there. Now recharge ports are great because this will kill, when you use a kill key such as this and you plug it in, this will completely kill power to the battery, to your LED, if you have a NeoPixel blade, soundboard, everything. It will completely shut power off to all components, so it will save your battery and extend the life of it much longer than even if it went into deep sleep mode, because you have no draw from any of the electronics in your Saber. The other great part of it is that you can charge your Saber right from the recharge port, and that's great if you have a Saber that's maybe a little tight to be able to get the battery out to charge it, so you don't have to keep taking the battery in and out. You can just plug it right in there and charge it up. It's also great too that if you want to do a setup that the battery is hardwired, so you can't even remove the battery, you can just strictly use the port to do all your charging. So there's a lot of functions to it, and it's great to have in the Saber. I include it pretty much in all my Sabers now, as long as I can make it fit in there and the build isn't too tight. I include this in here. Some people have been kind of getting away from it a little bit, only because the soundboards have advanced over the years and you really get a great deep sleep mode with them. However, you still get a drain from the various LEDs and stuff that you have in your Saber, so I always try to include it. I like the convenience of the kill key and be able to charge it up through the recharge port. So we're going to be installing one in our current Saber that we're building, so let's go over wiring this up. So go over the prongs here. It is, so starting at this L shaped one here, that is going to be your positive. The one in the center here, right there. That's the focus here. Right here in the center is your ground, and that's the one that's going to be going to the board. And then you have the one on the end here is the negative, and that's the one that's going to be going to the battery. So this L bracket is actually going to have two positive leads coming off of it. One's going to go to the positive on the board, and then the positive on the battery as well. So pretty straightforward, but there's always a lot of confusion with it, so it's a great one to go over. And so hopefully this tutorial really helps answer some questions for you. Pretty much, I would say 99% of the boards, the soundboards I wire up, is going to use this same exact way of doing it, and it's a pretty common way to get it wired up. So let's clean off our soldering iron here. We're going to tin our pads here, starting at the positive. Our ground and our negative. That's it. So when soldering the wires on, I always like to start the positive first. So since this draws a good amount of the juice because it's connected to the battery, we're going to use a thicker gauge wire here. We're going to go with the 24 gauge wire, so we need 2 of those. So just like with our LED and our switch, you're going to measure out the length of wire that you need, If it needs to run all the way down the Saber, you can use your other components or the Saber itself to figure out how much wire you need to run down your Saber. This is going to be actually installed in the chassis, so I just really need a very small amount, so not too long, but always cut extra in case. So do that. It's definitely going to be shorter than this I need, but it's okay. 2 of those. One to the positive on the board and the positive to the battery. And we need our black wire. Negative to the battery. Generally like to use green for my ground. However, I'm out of that color, so we're going to use blue. I'm actually going to make the black wire a little bit longer than that, so I have a little extra play. I'm managing my wires on my chassis. And that's it. That's all the wires we need. So start with the positive here. Snip off the ends. Leave a good amount. We're going to twist those together. Line these up so they're pretty even. Twist the wires. Grab our solder. Tip off again. A generous amount on there. And perfect. So we have our 2 positives running off. Rotate it here a bit. Move on to our ground wire, which is the blue. Remember, that goes to the board. The negative on the board. Last one, negative to the battery. That is it. These are 4 wires that we need. The only thing we need to do now is put some heat shrink on here. Bigger piece in this one. a little bit bigger piece because we have 2 wires there, so it's a little bit thicker. Lower heat gun. And since we have the L here on the positive, we're going to take a little bit of hot glue and just cover that up. This is where the hot glue gun comes in handy. You never have to go too crazy with it, but just a little bit of hot glue on there. Just like to cover up any kind of exposed joints, since it's not covered up with heat shrink. There's no way to get heat shrink on there. Put a little bit of hot glue, and then that just ensures that there won't be any accidental short there. Let that cool for a second. And like our other ones, if you're using a long strand, you could twist this up and run it down. Make sure you put your heat shrink on there, keep the wires all twisted, but since I'm using it in the chassis, I'm not going to do any of that because I'm just going to be running really short lengths and there's no need to twist it. So that is how to wire a recharge port. Pretty simple, straightforward, but I guess it gets a little confusing at times because you're dealing with the battery and the power of it, so people don't want to mess it up, and I guess they freak themselves out a little bit. So, but hopefully this helps and gets you moving on finishing your Saber. So until next time, come back for part 6 of Let's Build a Saber, and take care.